Welcome back to the Boiyz Club with Nathan and Danny, where we have no lines.
We have no lines so badly that we just stuffed up our first recording and we're going to try it again. We do have a Facebook and a Gmail and a Twitter. See how honest we are? We're very honest over here.
It's true, we are.
We mic'd up our first recording. We've now read the quote a few times, asked a few psychologists to help us with it, and now we're ready to record. Let's go. How was your weekend, Danny?
My weekend was really, really great. I gotta be honest. I'm kind of building my strength for the next couple of days, where I'm going to be flying solo with the kids, because my beautiful wife is going to be heading out to South Africa with her work. She's involved with a fantastic project called Unity Day. And they're going over there to have some really amazing functions and try and promote and plug Unity Day and really get the community around that whole concept. And they've got some really, really special things lined up there. So if anyone's in South Africa is listening, head out to the various Unity Day functions. I'm sure you'll have a great time. And you can also say g'day to my wife.
Awesome.
How was
Danny,
your
I want to praise you because you really support your wife. No, you really, really do. There are not that many men that are willing to go, don't worry, darling, I'll look after the kids while you fly around the world and save it. Like, kol hakavod to you and to your wonderful wife.
Thanks, man. Where's my medal?
Anytime. Where's your what?
My medal.
Your medal? I'm not giving you a medal. I'll give you a pat on the back. If you're lucky.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was lovely. I spent the Friday with my wonderful children. I told my overworked wife, who's been with the kids at home for over a month of holidays, take a rest, chill out. I'm going to do stuff with the kids, and we did some awesome stuff together. And it's just awesome to sometimes put the phone away, put the work away, and just say, kids, I'm yours. What are we doing?
Nice.
And I saw some beautiful, beautiful things in my
children.
children.
Also see how the kids, like, their personalities develop.
Yeah.
When you spend so much time with them.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. Yeah. So one of the articles that I was reading over the weekend, basically...
The one we didn't understand?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And what it did, basically, was conducted a survey. It was by Psychology Today, and it found that men believe that their appearance is much more important to women than women report that it is. So men think that they look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, my hair isn't good, or I need to shave, or whatever it might be, or my pecs aren't as solid as they could be, and that's what is going to make or break your relationship. Whereas women are just like, I don't really care what his hair. I don't really care what his hair looks like. I don't really care what the shape of his pecs are. You know?
So actually, something just came so into my head. Oh my goodness! A long time ago, over 12 years ago, when our first child was born. It wasn't very easy. We were very young. We didn't know what was going on. My wife was affected by the pregnancy and the birth in a whole lot of different ways. And I remember, our love life, our physical love life kind of was a bit damaged for a while. I was a married grown man. I was young, but a married grown man. And I remember doing push-ups next to our bed, thinking to myself, maybe my wife will be turned on by this, by seeing me doing push-ups in front of her.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Because look, it's funny. There's a movie, I've forgotten what the name of it's called. Basically, it's with Kevin Spacey, and he is in this stage of his marriage where things are kind of fizzling out, and he's starting to possibly, wants to be attractive to other women, right? So he befriends these neighbours of his who just happen to be a couple of gay male couple, and they are in peak physical fitness. So he basically starts running with them, starts working out with them, and they're like, "Why are you doing this?" And he flat out says to them, "I want to look good naked." That's why he does it.
Okay.
And I can totally relate to that. I mean, we kind of have this image in our heads. I mean, obviously we're talking about only males here, but we want this episode and these issues are understood that we know that they're also affected by women as well. But you want to be able to, you want to know that you look good. You have a certain image of yourself.
Yeah.
And you think that you're attractive towards the opposite sex.
Or not attractive, and that's when these issues start to happen.
Right. Well, you think you're unattractive, and,
Exactly.
and a lot of, like, so many issues are born out of that. I
I
totally
remember
understand.
when I was in Kollel, when we were learning, I was learning to become a rabbi. I was working out with my learning partner. We were going for runs and push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. And their family is just like this beautiful, pure mindset Israeli type vibe, like really earthy and everything. And he said to me, I went home to my wife and I'm like, hey, I'm looking good. Is this good for you? And she's like, what? Because you've got bigger muscles means that I'm going to be turned on by you? I love you. I want to make love to you because I love you.
Right.
It's not going to make a difference.
She
So he was like, he never turned up again. Like, why should I do all this hard work if my wife wants to make love to
He's
me?
now this fat slob.
Not exactly.
No,
He's got it quite easy.
Right.
But it's an interesting mindset.
Yeah.
Like, how many of us turn to our wife and say, what do you expect of me physically to look like?
Right.
And even for
Wives
women
that
to
say
say
that,
that to
yeah.
their husbands.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it out here, we may be speaking... I think we're going to pretty much balance it out, women and men here. But I find it very important to talk about men on this segment because everyone's talking about female image. Yeah. Everybody's talking about women in magazines.
Yeah.
We have to be out there and talk about men.
Right.
And, like we were discussing before we put on the podcast, I really believe that self-image starts when you're born. Right, and I think that a lot of subconsciously, yeah. And I think a lot of parents wait too long, like many of these issues, because we're worried about them, to actually bring them up with our children, to actually realize that it's not necessarily a face-to-face conversation with my child at the age of 14 when they're going through puberty or 12 or whatever it is. It's actually about how I talk to them, how I treat them, how I look at them from the moment they're born that is going to affect their self-image.
Interesting. That's really interesting because I as we're talking about it now, I'm just thinking about my daughter, my oldest daughter. She's 3+ years old, and now that I'm thinking about it, so many times after we do her hair in the morning before she goes to kindergarten or whatever it is, we always tell her, go look at it in the mirror. Go look at yourself in the mirror. Go, to see if she likes it. And then I remembered that when she got her earrings done, right, my wife was like very kind of anxious about it, right, because it's painful. It's a little bit painful, right? So the way the people that did it at the place where she got the earrings done, so they were really good. They were really good about it, really good about it, and it was very quick. It was simultaneous, and it was done, right? But she started crying. It was painful. She got a bit of a shock. Yeah. She wasn't expecting it, right? But then she looks in the mirror. And she's like, ooh, these look nice. And I can imagine she's completely changed, right? So even at that young age, I like, not that boys go through the same kind of, maybe they do, I don't know that many boys that get earrings at 3, but even at that age, looking at themselves in the mirror brings a certain sense of, like a kind of psychological change in a way. Yeah. I find that very, very, very strong. And it can be a little bit, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a, it's dangerous. I don't know if it's dangerous is the word, but it could mold them or set them up for different kinds of issues when they get older. So I've got a little bit to say about this, okay? I think that, we'll go back to babies. I just want to finish this specific thing off about looking in the mirror. Yeah.
So the one thing that comes up for me is like this. I think that people or children probably need to have a balance between looking in the mirror, knowing for myself that I look good, and I'll tell you why in a second.
You're saying cognitively? Yeah. Cognitively thinking, looking in the mirror and looking and understanding that they're seeing themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it needs to be balanced with trusting the people around you to say you look good, you look beautiful, you look wonderful. Because at a certain stage in their growth, they're going to look in that mirror just because it's normal and they're going through puberty in different stages and they are not going to think that they look good. Okay, the majority, I'm not saying everyone, but the majority of teenagers go through a stage when they're, as my wife would say, growing into themselves, where they look at that mirror and they go, I'm uncomfortable with this. And if we're relying only on them to judge their own body image on what they say, right? It's important that they need to learn also to trust their mother and father and their siblings to say, hey, you look beautiful, you look wonderful, so that when they have a downtime, they are brought up by other people. But I think it has to be a real balance, because the rest of the world only relies on what other people say and not about themselves. Just one thing that came from a child psychologist to me, when we were talking to, I can't remember which child it was, who always wanted to, one of our children, whenever they cried, they went in front of the mirror and cried and watched themselves.
Wow.
And we were like, you don't need to look at yourself, blah, blah, blah. And the child psychologist said to us, no, it's important that a child recognizes how they look for themselves.
Wow.
I think she was like 4 or 5 or something like that. So to allow them to be self-aware about how they look is very, very important.
Well, the question is whether is it too much? I
think it's a balance, like always.
Right.
You know, if anyone's a child psychologist out there, can you write to us? We'd love to do a piece with you guys about this. Just on that, I read a book called From Diapers to Dating. Look it up. It's an awesome book, all about, literally from diapers to dating and how we educate our children, stuff like that. And one of the things that the author speaks about in that book is parents' reactions to their babies when the babies realize a certain change or not even change, a reality about themselves, right? So under the age of 1, a baby boy realizes he has a penis and starts playing with it. He doesn't know that it's something sexual or what it's for, anything, but he realizes that something's there. And she speaks in this book, From Diapers to Dating, she speaks about parents' reaction of being embarrassed about opening up my child's diaper and seeing an erection, or pushing a baby's hand away from playing with himself. That reaction itself can help in a positive or negative way shape that baby boy or girl's body image from such a young age.
Yeah, I can tell you, look, even if it's not sexual, I can tell you, when I was in high school, right, and now I guess we're moving from childhood towards like teenagehood, I was a very late grower. My growth spurt was very, very late, even to the point where I came to my parents bawling. I'm like, I'm the shortest in the class. Am I ever going to grow? Ever? How do I know if I'm ever going to grow?
And they said, Danny, size doesn't count.
Well, what my dad actually did do is he took me to a doctor who took x-rays of my bones.
Oh, I've got such a funny story about this. Carry on.
He took x-rays of my bones. And he showed me that in between my bones there are these gaps. Right? And what he basically was proving to me was that these gaps show that my bones still have room to move, room potential to grow, and that yes, I will be growing. Don't worry about it. Get over it, basically. But at the time, I was really worried. It affected the way that I was talking to girls. It affected the way that I was talking to guys.
How old were you?
It must be about 15, 16.
Oh, really?
And, I mean, there are also I remember there were like some video clips that people were taking. Really, like in the early stages of cell phone, I don't know if it was cell phone or if it was like cameras that had a video function or something. And it showed like we were, I don't know, messing around in a classroom sometime, and people were like just jumping around. We were doing, and I was like the smallest kid. Out of all these people, I'm like, Schweppes. Who is that little runt that's just like jumping around there? And it was always an insecurity of mine.
Yeah.
And it really affected the way that I handled myself around girls. It affected the way that I handled myself around sports. Really, it affected my psyche in a really big way.
Yeah. I had the same thing. My mother also took me to a growth expert, and it was actually a very quick, funny story. So my parents are divorced. And for whatever reason, my father wasn't there at the meeting with the doctor. He was this black American doctor, right, in Australia. So he says, so when did his father go through puberty? And my mother looked with this straight face at the doctor and says, he never did. The doctor didn't know what to do, what to say. Anyway, I mean, my father is 6 foot something, and I'm still like half his size or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, it definitely slow growth as a boy for sure.
Right.
Has huge societal outcomes when you're at school. You know, I remember I was also late grown. I remember being embarrassed that I didn't have hair under my arms, and everyone was getting dressed in the, you know, in the change rooms, and I was like embarrassed to do that. On the other side, for girls, there can be, or even also for guys, you've got those early sprouters that all of a sudden are bigger than everybody else, clumsier than everybody else. If they're girls, they're growing breasts before everybody else. Everyone's like, you know, talking puberty, period, all that type of stuff, and they're very alone as well, being the only ones dealing with those things, and they're huge societal hurdles for people to go through.
Yeah, no doubt.
The sad thing is that, I guess we'll throw it out there as a question: do things change? Do things change? Also, then you get to dating, you get to marriage, you get to all of the different stages of your body, which we'll talk about in a second. Do things change? In other words, this is such an awesome line. Do our bodies mature, but our minds not? Or our perceptions of our bodies not?
Interesting.
How's that for a line?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to take this from a wide lens perspective, right? We're going to look at the different kinds of communities that exist with these kinds of issues. Now, you've got, within the Jewish world, we've got the more orthodox or the ultra-orthodox communities where they're very, very modestly dressed, and not only do they cover themselves at home, but they also cover themselves in the bedroom, and they also cover themselves, you know, very, very modestly. The wives cover themselves very modestly, and who knows what they even, like, what they allow themselves to do in the bathroom. Who knows what they allow themselves to do in the bedroom with their respective partners. If we're talking about those kind of images when you're trying to educate your children about being modest and covering up your bodies and being very kind of, I don't want to use the word extreme, but I want to use the word to, like,
intense.
Yeah, it's a very intense way to do it. And then when these, you know, girls, let's say, when they start to develop and grow up, and then the minute they flick over 18, and then they're expected to start dating, and then, you know, they spend their first night with their future, like their husband, and they get naked. Like, how do you expect what their body image is supposed to be? I mean,
so I just want to throw it out there because I can't share exactly. Whatever, this isn't limited to the Jewish world. I know some people who are years after their marriage still struggling, not Jewish, because they grew up in a very strict Christian society, and they're still dealing with the problems of their wedding night. Because in the strict Christian society that they grew up in, it was also absolutely nothing, and then they dived straight into it. And years later, they're still dealing with these things. I can't go into more issues because I haven't spoken to them about,
of course,
you know, sharing these issues. But it's not limited to the Jewish world.
No, but still, you do have. If we talk about the Jewish world, like modesty is a principle or an issue, right? Yes. But you also have the sect of Jews that don't see it as being as strong of a principle or issue in general, right? And that's fine. They do their thing. But at the same time, when they're dating and when they're going out with men and women, if they end up getting physical, like, I'm sure that there is a sense of physical. I'm sure even non-Jewish people, feel this to some degree, that there's some sort of sense of insecurity in their own body image. You have to be a very confident person to be able to say, "Oh, my body is perfect. I love it the way that I am. I love my body." And it's a very rare kind of thing to find, I think. And I'm trying to tap into the kind of psyche that some of these people would probably, be at, to be able to say, "I love my body. I'm taking off everything, and you're gonna love it. Like, here I am." There's actually a survey. Sorry to cut you off. There's actually a survey in the UK that was found that 4 out of 5 men confess to being unhappy about their body, right? And 35% of people that responded to the survey said that they would trade a year of their life to achieve their ideal body weight or shape.
Mad.
Right?
That's amazing.
It's just showing you that there's so many...
35% of those people would be willing to stop everything in their life in order to better their body image.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that I understand that. I really feel that I understand that. Because body image, not only, we've been talking about it on a sexual, mindset.
Yeah.
When someone walks into a job interview, right, the persona that they give off on that is definitely affected by their body image. If I don't want to give examples, I don't know what the examples are, but even let's say you're having a body image at home with your wife or your husband, and you're feeling really unsure about yourself, and then you have to walk into this job interview and pound it there. Someone would have, someone who has issues with body image and all that type of stuff, to walk into a interview,
right,
and be, I've got this, I'm the winner here, must be very, very difficult.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's funny, I've actually, my family often has these reunions. My family on my mum's side, it's few and far between, but we have these reunions with, whether it's a certain event like a wedding or death, God forbid, or whatever it might be. And there is a certain relative on my mum's side who, no matter what, every time I've seen this person,
yes,
they will always comment on my weight. Always. Now, before...
Danny, you look awesome.
Before this happens, I don't have any anxiety. I completely forget from time to time that this person's going to say something about my weight, right?
Okay.
But what I've realized is that every time they do say something, for the next, hour or period of time afterwards, I'm always kind of... mulling.
Self-conscious.
Yeah, I'm mulling what they've said in my mind, whether it's positive or negative, and it's really kind of affected me in that period of time to be able to really say have I put on weight? Have I not put on weight? Am I looking but why is that such a big why is it such a big deal? Why is it so hard for people to be able to look at themselves in the mirror and naked and just say, this is what I am. I
know you love naked, but it's not only naked. How do I look in this shirt? How do I look in this skirt? If you're a girl or if you're a boy wearing a skirt, whatever, no judgment. I'm just saying it's not only about nakedness. It's not only about sexuality. If someone is bald, if someone's eyes are crossed, all of these different things are there's a perception of society that's out there that says this is how you need to look. I think the magazines and stuff like that are getting better. I'm not sure, but I think there's this move to have, in inverted commas, real people, and that's making people feel better about not being photoshopped type of Barbie person having to be. But I don't think it's only about sexuality. I don't think it's only about being naked. I think it's also about what we wear, how it sits on us, the way people talk to us, all that type of stuff. I just want to go back a little bit. Let's go back to dating. Okay. Body image is obviously a huge thing when you're dating, right? Whether we like it or not, there's not many people that you see from any spectrum not dressing up, not trying to look good on their date. And I think that's a good thing, right? You're meant to try and impress. You're meant to try and, be beautiful and handsome and all of those wonderful words, I would say. But I posted something on Facebook the other day that had a whole lot of comments. It was something like, I can't remember what I said, but that sounds really... What was it? It was about... Got it. I said, finish the sentence. Love based on external attraction, ... And a whole lot of people wrote back. Most of them were like, is not going to go anywhere, is not good, is whatever. And some people said is a really good start. And I like that, because when someone's dating, there needs to be a physical attraction.
Well, on the guy's side, definitely. On the guy's side, there is definitely a need for that.
Yes.
Maybe we should do another podcast about that, about physical attraction. But
awesome.
I can definitely tell you, when I was dating, if there wasn't some sort of initial physical attraction, just to be able to look at the person. I'm not talking about I needed, want to jump into bed with the girl and think she was the hottest thing in the world, but I needed to be able to see some sort of attraction there to be able to even say, yes, I'll date her.
The important thing, I think, is when we feel that someone is attracted to us, that's what this podcast is about, then our image of ourselves is raised up, and I reckon we look even better.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. It gives you a sense of confidence when you know that someone's interested in you because of one of the reasons why they're interested is because of the way you look, the way you dress, the way you handle yourself. All these issues of body image are all intertwined into how you carry yourself and how other people perceive you in general.
And therefore how you perceive yourself.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you're dating, because we're talking about dating right now, if you're dating, write into us, put it up on Facebook or our Gmail, boyzclub@gmail.com, and let us know what percentage of your mindset when you're going on a date is about my body image, how do I look, and what percentage is about what we're going to discuss and where we're going to go and our emotional attraction. Like, how important is your body image to you when you go out on a date?
If we even pull that a little bit further and we talk about the married couples out there.
Yes.
And we say, if you've been married for a few years, right, marriage is the kind of place where I find it's so easy where you can kind of fall into this like
trap
level of comfort.
Yep.
Now, I can tell you that I have definitely discussed with my wife about these kinds of things in terms of attraction, in terms of what we need to be able to feel comfortable with each other and open and honest with each other to be able to tell each other when either of us are reaching a level of physical appearance, right? Where the other person is starting to become unattractive.
That's amazing honesty and openness.
Well, it's not easy, I have to say. It's not easy.
Do you have to drop hints or you're allowed to just say it like outright?
I thought you were going to say you have to drop your pants.
Well, that too. I hope that happens.
No, we've been very flat out about it. Because I don't feel like you can beat around the bush with this kind of stuff. I mean, it's so important, to me at least, it's really important to me that physical attraction stays alight.
Yeah.
And I think that
even going through different stages.
Yeah. I mean, we've been through kids. I'm moving from my 20s to my 30s and moving from my 30s to my 40s and being able to the body's doing all kinds of different stuff. And that transition is also...
For sure. Let's just put it out there. When I hit 30, maybe 31, 32, all of a sudden, weight that used to disappear has not disappeared.
I didn't want to say anything, but...
Thanks, Danny.
Maybe you shouldn't have had that other beer.
They're called love handles. They can be positive, they can be negative if they get too big. But...
Don't worry, I like a little meat on my men.
Thank you so much, Danny.
No, it's...
Too close for comfort. But there's body changes that happen and we need... I really put it out there to people. Like, Danny and his wife are so honest with each other. That's beautiful. Many couples would take offense to that. And aren't you attracted to me? It's important to be able to express those things.
I actually remember a couple that I know of who he would very, very bluntly tell her what she looks like. Mm-hmm. How if she's put on weight, he would very, very bluntly tell her, "Look, you've put on a couple of kilos. I think you need to start to."
Oh my goodness!
And she would take it in such a positive way.
Really?
Yeah. She would take it in a really positive way.
Positive, like smack him in the nose?
No. Oh, that could be why he ended up with a black eye. No, she would take it in a really positive way to understand that he wants to be attracted to her. Look, in today's day and age, let's not beat around the bush. Today's day and age, there are many. You got Ashley Madison. There are places where men can go to be able to fulfill all their desires if they really want to.
Yep.
Okay, so it goes both ways.
Yep.
There are also, tons
Is she allowed to say to him?
She has to.
Okay.
She has to.
Okay.
But the point is that I feel like you have to work on those kinds of things and feel like you're in such a comfortable place to be able to do that. That it's not easy. The insecurities still follow over even when you're married. Yeah. It's still an insecurity of being able to look at yourself in the mirror and what you're wearing and whether you're going to a wedding and you want to look good or you're going to work or
on a date with your wife or your husband or whatever.
And you want to be able to look good. But if you don't look good in your mind, or if you know that your spouse thinks you're kind of reaching that kind of limit where you're a little bit overweight here or a little bit there, then it can do real things to your self-confidence. And I think that being in a comfortable environment, especially with your spouse, and being able to be told what is or is not attractive to them, I think that's all part and package of what they need to be able to trust.
So I want to tell you an amazing story because we've spoken a lot about, body image and being honest with each other. I think it's very, very important about, to be able to be honest with each other and say, I feel like you need to lose some weight or cut your hair in this way or that way. It's also important to say, you don't need to lose weight and I love you and I'm attracted to you
no matter what.
No matter what. I just want to tell a very quick, amazing, powerful story. My father was very good friends with a priest who was in a very, very bad car accident. He was squashed between two trucks. And when the hospital called his wife, they said, can you please bring a picture of your husband so that we can work out how to reconstruct his face? Wow. That's how badly he was damaged. Wow. And I always teach this when we're talking about body image. That wife and that husband, if their love was based on body image, she would have been out of there. Yeah. I have an amazing friend who lost both his legs and his wife has stayed with him through thick and thin. If it was just about body image, she would have been out of there as well. Yes, there are issues. It's difficult. But a deep love goes so far beyond how we look.
Right. And
that's what's so important. Right. Okay? Let's lighten it up a little bit. What about penis size? Just throwing it out there. It's very hot in here.
I mean, isn't it...
Danny's got nothing to say. Danny's perfect.
You caught me completely off guard.
Yeah.
No, look, there is definitely something to say with how men feel about the size of their penis.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. Okay, there are always guys who think it's not big enough, it's too big, it's like too fat, or it's too small, or it looks weird, or whatever it might be. I think that it's it's so important. First of all, guys need to understand and accept the fact there is nothing that the guy has done to... You can't train your penis.
Blame your parents.
You can't work out your penis. You can't get it bigger.
There are products. I don't know if they work, but when we were doing research about sex toys from last week's podcast, there are products there about stretching your penis and stuff like that.
You're telling me that there are products on Better Together that
not on Better Together. No, there are products on sex toy places that claim that they can stretch your penis for you.
Okay, so until I see some actual proof, if there was proof, if there was scientific proof,
if you used a penis stretcher, please let Danny know. He would like to know if it works.
I guarantee you that would be a money maker.
Yeah, big time.
So I'm doubting the kind of the truth that is in that. But what I'm trying to say is that much like your nose and your ears and your fingers and your arms and your toes, you've had no say. You've had no influence. And the only thing that has any kind of is God. God created that part of your body, and that's what it is. It's very difficult for a man to be able to accept that. Mm. But until you do, you're going to have these thoughts and these feelings of, is it going to be big enough for the woman? Am I going to be able to fit? Am I going to be able to last long enough? Am I going to be able to feel?
All of those issues.
Is she going to be able to feel me inside of her? Not even that. It's kind of like... It's kind of... I mean, that's what makes him... I mean, that's one of the things that makes a man a man.
Is the fact that he has a penis.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when you have a small penis, does that mean you're a small man? Does that mean that, like, you're less of a man than a guy who has, like, a massive...
Definitely not. I want to ask a question about that, okay? Before television, before pornography, when no one really knew, I guess there was always the locker rooms, but like in medieval society, did people have the complex about the size of their penis? Like maybe they knew their father and their brother or whatever, but beyond that,
don't know.
Like,
can't tell you the research that I've done on that. But what I can tell you is that I think that if anyone out there is having any kind of complex towards the size of their penis, if they're married or whether they're dating, I'm going to just tell you this. I'm going to be little piece of advice, all right?
From Uncle Danny.
Accept the fact that you can't do anything about it, and just appreciate the fact that you have one, and please God, it's working properly, and that you can, really use it to its full potential. There are always other ways that you can fulfill women's pleasures.
Yeah.
That you're not only using your penis. Don't get hung up over it. If there is someone that you would like to see about it, we always have someone that we can point you to. You can email us at boyzclub@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on Facebook privately, and we'll be able to respond to it.
Or look up your local private doctor or something like that.
Yeah.
I want to just make it very clear here, because like always, I do not want to be sued, right? There's a difference between size and different issues that someone may have with the form of your penis or whatever. We're not taking any responsibility for advice on your penis.
No.
Just saying that this is part of a body image, right? And going back to where we started, this all starts with when a baby plays with himself, or a 3-4-year-old plays with himself, soaps himself up or something like that, and a parent says, that's disgusting,
or when a girl
don't touch yourself.
Or when a girl touches her vagina or whatever it is in the bath.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I want to say something on this. I read an amazing book. It's called Birchat Habayit, I think it's called.
Blessings of the Home.
Blessings of the Home. And it's all about tzniut. It's all about being modest, right? And this rabbi is incredible. He explains there are two different types of modesty.
Okay.
Like you mentioned before, there's the modesty of the toilet. When we're in the toilet, we're doing something that is not very pleasant, and it's a godly function that we need to do,
right.
But it's not like,
bodily function.
It's a bodily animalistic function to do, right? And therefore, halacha tells us, Jewish law tells us, to cover ourselves up while we're sitting on the toilet or whatever it is, okay?
Yep.
There is that type of tzniut, of modesty, called toilet modesty, right? We're covering ourselves up because it's animalistic. There's an opposite side of tzniut, of modesty, and that is a modesty of holiness, that we are keeping our bodies for something special, for something holy, for something to sanctify. That is when we are making love, having sex, whatever it is, with our partner, right? When those two modesties are mixed up, the rabbi says, we are totally denying a beautiful present that God has given to us in order to give physical love and pleasure to our spouse and create children. Do not mistake your toilet body image with your making love body image. They are two totally separate things. You should be proud of your body.
Right.
You should make your children proud of their bodies, because it's a beautiful gift that God has given us. We're not on extremes that we're obsessed with it, because that becomes dangerous. On the other hand, we can't totally neglect our body image. So I hope that we've given a bit of a balanced vibe out there about all different things. We just want to put it out there that everybody should respect everybody, no matter how they look. Everybody should respect other people. They should try and build up other people's body image, especially if they're having body image problems. God loves us. God loves our body, for those of you out there that care about it. And therefore, we too should love our body and worry about our body image in that area, rather than what everyone thinks around us.
Well said, well said.
Thanks,
if this was being said in a public hall, I'd get up and give you a standing ovation.
Yeah! Thanks, man.
What I'd like to end off with, guys, is that our segment, The Naked Truth, which is our question and answer
Positive
segment.
body image, naked truth.
Yeah.
As in we're getting naked. Yeah.
We have actually moved that segment onto our YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, go and check it out, because that's where we're recording our Naked Truth question and answer section segment. And that's where we're going to be doing.
So type in Boiyz Club Naked Truth, right, to find us, because there's a whole lot of different YouTube Boiyz Clubs.
And also just make sure you spell it correctly.
Boiyz Club.
Yeah. And for that, enjoy and have a great week.
See you later. And size
Does not
matter.
Also, about next week, we will not be releasing our podcast on Sunday of next week, which is going to be the 9th of Av, Shabbat Av, which is the fast day. We will be respecting the day, and we will be releasing on Monday. So don't be worried if you don't see that out on Sunday.
Don't forget to share us. See you later, mate.
Bye.